Hi, glad to see you here. So, in today's video, I would really love to discuss the urgent topic that I'm living with for the past couple of days, which is the mobilization of Russian army here in Russia, of course. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit distraught still by the news. We've been waiting for it for past couple of days. We've been expecting the Putin's announcement the day before yesterday, but it didn't come. So yesterday morning, the announcement went through, and as expected, Putin announced the partial mobilization. And in today's video, I would just like to discuss this topic, to discuss the news that I've gathered, what I have seen, the reports from people, and just to maybe give you a little bit of an introduction into what's going on in Russia right now. So first of all, the partial mobilization part. It wasn't just words, of course, of Putin. There's actually like a government decrease of Putin and laws. So, for example, the day before yesterday, which was the 20th of September, we had laws passed in Russian Federation very urgently that basically made the punishment for escaping drafting, for not complying with the orders when you are serving in the army, etc., much worse. Also, the law introduced it's like new laws and amendments to the existing laws. Like it was like a packet of documents, basically, a packet of like laws and etc. Introduced the terms of like wartime and some other like war-related terms into the criminal code of the Russian Federation. So, which is also very important. And yesterday, Putin announced the mobilization, the partial mobilization, in his address to the nation. And yesterday as well, we had like a decree that I have opened here on the screen on the right side. So that's why I'm looking here. The decree. And what is interesting about this decree, I like kind of want to go through this decree. It has like 10 points. So the first point is that it announces the partial mobilization in the Russian Federation starting September 21st. The second point talks about that the government, the people of the Russian Federation, will be drafted for the army service on the mobilization program to the like Russian Federation army. The citizens of the Russian Federation drafted due to mobilization have the how do like I translate it actually have the like status of like soldiers that are employed according to contract, because like in Russia you can either be like contracted, so like it's kind of like in America, for example, where like you have the ability, like you don't get involuntarily drafted, you sign a contract and you serve in the army. But in Russia you do have like forced drafting, that's like every male starting age 18 has to go to army, like there's no choice. But like here they have the status of people who sign the contract, so it's like voluntary, but it's not. But signing a contract means that you will get paid, so I think that's why they have this. So because the third point talks about the level of like money that we will get. There's like various number floating around. It's around like 200,000 rubles to 400,000 rubles, which is like a lot, because like a lot of people in Russia, I'm not talking about Moscow, I'm not talking about St. Petersburg, just like people in Russia in general, they don't see these level of salaries ever. So like real median salary, like not like according to statistics and stuff, but like real median salary in Russia, excluding St. Petersburg and Moscow, it'll be like around 30K or like 25K. And here they offer 200K. So it's like 10 times more at minimum. So, good money. Which is like, okay, I'm being sarcastic. So the fourth point talks about that the contracts that they sign, or like they are being employed employees into army, drafted into army upon, are, how to say, like, are prolonged until the end of the period of the partial mobilization. So like you cannot end the contract earlier, and like that's one of the parts of the laws that were signed into being adopted the day before Putin actually announced the partial mobilization. That like if you try to escape from the like army, even if you serve by the contract, if you try to breach the contract earlier, then you will get punished. You get thrown into jail, and you can either get also fined. So the fourth point talks that like the contracts that you have like now starting the mobilization, partial mobilization, they are active until the partial mobilization is called off. The fifth point talks about like the reasons how or like why you can escape being like mobilized or like drafted, which would be like A, because of age, B, because of like your health, and C, because you are imprisoned. Sixth point talks about what the Russian government should do, which like finance all of it, and do everything like to support the Army of Russian Federation to go through with the mobilization, basically. The seventh point is interesting. The seventh point is omitted. In like the documents that like the first was released yesterday, it was like totally omitted. And the document that was like posted online, because like Russian Federation posts the laws online. The seventh point is like, instead of like actual point, there's like words that says like basically for internal use or something like that. And spokesperson for the Russian president Peskov was asked about that, and basically what he said, and what like in general the government said, that like this point talks about the number of people that will be drafted, and they made it secret. So like officially what is floating around is that they're saying that like they will draft around 300,000 people, but it's like, yes, like Russian propaganda, Russian media, and just like people who are close to that circle that like actually makes the decisions, they talk about the number 300,000, but like it's nowhere in the law. It's nowhere in the actual like decree starting the partial mobilization. So if they draft more, they can just say, well, I mean, I'm sorry, we told you that is 300,000, but like it's nowhere in the papers, and we have the seventh point, but I think it's hidden, so like you don't know, and you can't know how many people we actually want to draft. So like, what kind of problem do you have? The law doesn't specify how many people we want to draft, so like shut the fuck up, it's all legal. The eighth point talks about just like that like people in power in the Russian Federation, like the lead, like the heads of the administrative subjects of the country, because like Russia is a federal country, so like we have oblast, like region or like states, we have like republics inside the country, etc. So the heads of these like regions, republics, like other administrative divisions, they need to actually do the mobilization effort. So like it's all localized. The heads of each region, they are responsible for the mobilization in their region. The ninth point talks that people who work for the companies of the military industrial complex, they are exempt from the drafting process. And the 10th point talks that like this decree is enforced starting the day that is officially posted, so like starting yesterday. So what another point interesting about this decree that's like not in the decree. So like first point was that the seventh paragraph is hidden, so like we don't actually know how many people the Russian government wants to have drafted. The other point that's interesting is that there's nowhere in this decree stated like what the fuck is the partial mobilization. So like they're talking, oh, we're not going to draft everyone, and talking about that, like yesterday we had the information coming out, like who will be drafted. There's like 3 major points who will be drafted. First of all, the people who served in the army. Second of all, people who have like who like have this like the education that is important for the army. Like nobody ever anywhere specified like what kind of education is that, like what skills do they need. And second of all, they're talking that like you need to have actual experience of being in the army. So like there is that. But to be honest with you, like it can change so much. It can change so much, and nobody's like ever. I'm sad that I'm clicking, but I'm also like I want to find this photo here also, like because like we have like all the schemes, like okay, who's been drafted. But yeah, I don't think that like they're going to go with these points. I think they're going with more like they don't actually going to follow these rules, like because like even now we have news coming out that like people who have never served in the army are getting like letters. Oh, you've been drafted. Please come to your local army office or whatever and get your equipment and stuff and go through with the health check for the army. And like we have like just people who like once again like never served in the army or like that's just recently returned from the army. So yeah, but like according to like the tables that like are floating around on the internet, there will be like 3 waves of mobilization. The first will be for people under 35 years old. And this will be like just foot soldiers or surgeons, just like lower level army personnel. So if you're under 35 years old, you can be drafted as like soldiers or surgeons or like lower level army personnel. Or if you're like 45 to 60, you can be drafted as like colonels or captains or whatever, you know, like the higher level army personnel that's like not like in the battlefield, but like, you know, kind of like making the strategy and like being in the offices and whatnot. The second wave will be 35 to 45 years old for lower level personnel and 45 to 60 years old for high level personnel. And also, like, I'm sorry, just like not seeing it quite clearly. In the first wave, people will be drafted who actually served in the army, and people who have the experience of like battlefield. So like who served in. Sorry for the noise. Who served in like Syria, Afghanistan? No, they're too old, but like still in Chechnya, in like wherever, who actually fought already. Second wave, once again, 35 to 45 for people lower level, 45 to 60 for high level, and also people who have like health problems, but like not so severe health problems. Because like in Russia, when you are being like checked for the army, you can get each of 5 different like health categories. A is like you're totally fine, you can serve in any type of military, like that would be like Spetsnaz, VDV, which is like Air Force or like Navy and stuff. B is like you're like okay, you're like not perfect but still fine, you can also pretty much serve everywhere, but like maybe not like some extreme forces like Spetsnaz, but like just like army, normal army. A, B, A, B, V. V means like we give you some time to get done with your health problems. So like you have health problems, but you can fix it, and they expect you to fix it and then come back, and then you'll be likely promoted to B category and be drafted. G category, I don't know much about, to be honest, but I think it's kind of the same. That like yeah, you're like okay, but still you have some problems. You should like get them done, get them sorted out, and come back, get your B category, and be drafted. And there's D category, which is like you never drafted, just don't care. D means don't care about you. We don't need you. So D is never drafted even if there's like war, not like partial mobilization or whatever, but like if there's outright like Third World War, D category is never drafted. Thank God I have D category. I don't even know how I got it, but I got it. So like God like really loves me, I guess. So and the third wave will be like 45 to 50 years old for lower level personnel, and like if you see the progression, first wave will be like 35 and under for lower level personnel, like foot soldiers. The second wave will be 35 to 45, and third wave will be 45 to 50 years old. So like, like with each wave, they're increasing the age number of the person that they want, of the like personnel that they want to draft for being like just a canon meat, as we call it in Russia, like just like simple people that they will throw into the battlefield. And for the third wave, they will be drafting 50 to 60 for high level personnel. Once again, like officers and colonels, captains, and whatever. And also, third wave will include the women under 45 who have military training or experience in serving in the army. So there is that. So like that's like talking about who will actually be drafted, because once again, when you think about the partial mobilization, you think, okay, they'll just draft some group of people, but they never specify what kind of group of people they will be actually drafting in the decree about the start of the partial mobilization. And once again, by this information, I told you the 3 waves in which the drafting process will happen, but it's not like really official, so like we don't know. And once again, from the information that's coming out, it's more like, okay, like we'll be drafting everywhere, and like it's not just me who's talking that. So like for example, we have the briefing of the like military commissar of the Kursk Oblast. So Kursk Oblast is like one of the oblasts not so far from Moscow, like in the western side of Russia, maybe a little bit like closer to Ukraine. So the military commissar, like commissioner, I guess, of the Kursk Oblast, Vladimir Rodionov, says that like army will not pity anyone. The approach will be very stern. You need to protect your motherland. We will send people under the slogan to win and not to die. And they will be sending out people who served previously and who are under 30 years old straight to the like military without training, because they have not forgotten their skills yet. And that's important because like officially they're saying that like we will be drafting people now, and then in the span of like month or 2 they'll be given some training, and only after that they'll be actually sent out to the like battlefield, like into the thick of it. But here he says that like we will be sending out people under 30 years old and who have served like directly out there into the like military divisions without any training, because they still retain their skills. Which is also interesting, talking about the reaction once again from the regions. The military commissioner of Tatarstan Republic, which is like not so far away from me, like in the closer to the Urals region, basically, Sergei Pogodin have prohibited all the people who are to be drafted, or like who are supposedly to be drafted, to leave their residency, their city, or their like region, basically, because Tatarstan is also like divided into some regions. And in Yakutia, the people in the army, like military reserve, also are forbidden to leave their regions and their neighborhoods and their like towns and cities and towns. And also the employers should give out the information about the amount of mobilized population, which is also interesting. that's talking about like the reaction from the government, from the local governments, because like once again, the governments locally are responsible for mobilization efforts. Uh, Talking about the reaction from people, of course, the people yesterday were protesting. People are unhappy. Nobody wants it. Nobody needs it. Actually, like, not a lot of people, of course. Like, I mean, like, I don't know the number of protesting people yesterday, but what I do know is that yesterday around 1,300 people were arrested and detained throughout Russia. And what is interesting is that many of them are male, of course, and many of them are reporting that they are being given like drafting letters in the police stations, or not even in the police stations, in the like police buses where they're being kept before they go to the police stations. Like, you're being detained, you're being taken to the police bus, and then you're being taken to the police station. So while they're sitting in the police bus, they're being given these like army letters saying that like, oh, like on this date, on this like period of time, usually it's like 20 to 30 of September, you should, in this like 10 days period, you should come to this location where there's like army commissar office, and you should bring these documents with you, and like we'll basically like do a checkup if you're fit for military, and then we'll be sending you out because like we have mobilization. So like basically they're just like catching people and on the like protesting against the mobilization, and they're actually forcing them to be mobilized. Also, I've seen news yesterday come now that people just being on the street, police stops like males and just gives them these like letters demanding them, it's getting a bit too hot, demanding them to just like come to the like army commissariat office and just be drafted. But who won't be drafted though? First of all of the Russian like State Duma deputies will not be drafted. According to law, they have exemptions. And yesterday it was such ironic, I mean, and like even like how to say, like it was so funny but also so ugly that we were like, oh my god, like it would have been so easy for us to just go and serve in the like front lines of like the war that's going on in Ukraine, but like we have to stay here. We have to stay here in Russia earning like millions of rubles, because like we like really need to think about our country and what's the best for the country. But like we like it would have been so much easier for us to just go and serve in the military, but like we won't do that because like we care so much and we need to be these like, I don't know, beacons of hope and intelligence and whatever. So like such a like hypocritical point of view, of course, such an ugly point of view. Also, so like they voted on all of these laws and whatever, and they supported the Putin's decision to start this like partial mobilization, but they won't be drafted. Their kids won't be drafted. They won't be touched by that. They will never be touched by that. But they're like, you know, like it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make, although many of you will die. You know, this meme from Shrek. Also, the Navalny, you know, this famous Russian opposition person, the Navalny, the people from his like basically organization, yesterday called the son of Dmitry Peskov Nikolai. So Dmitry Peskov is the spokesperson for Putin, basically. So like he's like, you know, the second person in Russia, because like you have Putin who has the power and who speaks about what he wants to do, and then you have Peskov who relays what Putin thinks. So like he's basically the second person in Russia. So they called the son of Peskov Nikolai, and they told him like it was kind of like a prank call. They told him that like, oh, you've been drafted, you need to come at 10 a.m. tomorrow to like this and that like army commissariat office, and like we'll do a checkup on you. And he's like, of course I won't be going anywhere tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm quoting. If you know that I'm the Mr. Peskov, and like not even like Mr. It's more like the word here that he used, like Mr. Peskov. In Russia it would be Господин. And господин has like negative connotations in Russian language, at least for me and for many people, because the господин basically derives from the word like Господь, which means like God. And господин is like, like I'm the mister, I'm like this like higher level person, and you're like just plebs, you're just like nothing. So like he said, I'm the Mr. Peskov. So you understand that it's not entirely correct that I will be coming in there. I will resolve this question on a totally another level. I need to understand what's going on and what rights do I have. Just so you understand, if you are to draft me tomorrow, neither you nor I, no one needs it. I don't have any problems in defending the motherland, but I need to understand whether I really should be there or not. I'm talking about the political nuance of all of it. And finally, they asked him like, okay, like, are you willing to just become like voluntarily come to the front? So like not being drafted, but like by your own volition. And he answered that like he'll voluntarily go into army only if Putin himself will ask him to do that. So like as you can see, the higher echelons of power, they are like, yes, of course, Russian people should go to the war because like that's like the war to end all wars or whatever. But they themselves, their children, they will not be drafted. They will not go to war. They will they will not serve in the army. I'm sorry. They will not be affected by that in any way. They won't die. They just won't. So what else is there? Because like I have like a list of topics that I wanted to cover regarding this. A lot of people were actually leaving Russia yesterday, and once the announcement came through from the Putin, all of the tickets from Moscow, like flight tickets to Turkey, to Georgia, to Azerbaijan, Armenia, wherever, like the countries that Russian people could go without visas, they were like sold out. They were like sold out, and officially, all of the like airlines, I'm sorry, and companies and like Russian tourism agency, that's all. There's like no barriers for Russian people to leave the country now. Like, okay, you can leave if you don't like it. But as the day like went through, we started getting some reports, and for example, one person reporting that he was leaving to Yerevan from Vnukovo, and they basically told that, and like this, like it was like later in the day, it was like almost night, and they were saying that like on this flight to Yerevan to Armenia, like 90% of people on board were men. So like once again, like men live in Russia because like they don't want to be caught in that situation. Second of all, is that like on the passport control, well, like before boarding the plane, they just selected randomly some men, and they basically made them go through like military control, just like asking them if they like if they should be drafted or not. I mean, like what kind of category did they have, like A, B, V, G, or D, or whatever. When did you buy the ticket? Why do you go to this country? And do you have the like ticket back? It's like, if it's not one-way ticket, but like you have a ticket back to Russia. So yeah, like Russian men are leaving the country. And what was nice is that like I've seen the French Gérard Araud, like ex-diplomat of France, talking that like maybe the European Union should actually rethink their stance on issuing visas to Russian people, because like Latvia and Estonia, if I remember correctly, came out yesterday talking that like, oh, we will not be accepting Russian males running from Russia, running from drafting, etc. And Finland also came out yesterday talking about stopping issuing visas to Russian people and like just like not allowing Russian people in, which I don't really understand why. If you really want to weaken the Russian military, take the Russian men in, because like the more Russian men come to your country, be it Finland, Estonia, Latvia, like France, I don't know, whatever country, the lesser men Russia actually has to wage war. So like and if you want Russia to stop waging war, you should deplete Russia of the like human resources. So like not exactly sure what is the logic for the European countries to not allow Russian men to escape into those countries. So like Gérard Haro came out yesterday talking that like, yeah, we need to stop issuing, we need to start helping males, Russian males who want to run away from drafting. That would be a good, that would be like, yeah, a humanitarian and military good decision. That's like his tweet. And I kind of agree with him on the stance that like, if you want once again to help stop Russia waging wars, you need to deplete Russian human resources. Just like not have, just so that like Russia doesn't have actual people to fight in the war. Then allow Russian men to come to your country and to escape the drafting, because like most people in Russia don't want this. So, for example, I've covered the news, and I just kind of like a little bit about myself. Yesterday, I was reading the local page of my city on Russian VKontakte social media, VK social media, and under the post that like said, like the news was like, oh my god, like Putin started the partial mobilization. A lot of people were like, we don't want this, we don't care about this, why do we have this, like we don't need this in their lives. And all of the like Patriot Z and V people who were like also leaving comments and saying like, yes, like Putin's the best, finally we'll show to these Ukrainians or whatever, they were all like downvoted, and basically all the people were replying to them saying that like, the fuck are you doing in here? Go to the front and fight if you're such a patriot. So like basically shunning them for these like pro-war comments, which is nice. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of a shock and kind of isn't. I myself am not draftable. As I already told you, I have a D category, so they cannot draft me, at least legally. Of course, my extra-legally, they can draft anyone, of course. They can just say, we don't give a fuck about your documents, you just go to war. But I don't think they'll draft me. My health is too poor for them, I guess. And although I'm not draftable, I'm also considering leaving Russia. I just didn't think that I would have to consider it this quickly. But I think that I will have to consider it rather quickly, because like the atmosphere here in Russia is becoming like too toxic. Like it has been toxic for this whole time, but like now it's like suffocatingly toxic. And yeah, of course, all of this is very scary, and all of this is very anxiety inducing. So I pray for the peace, I pray for the best, and I pray that the time will come where I won't have to live through major historic events. Thank you for watching my video. Leave your comments, let's have a discussion. I'm once again very happy to have you here. Subscribe to my channel, ask me more questions about Russia while I'm still here. I'm ready to talk, and see you in my next videos. Bye!